Howdy, folks. I'm a disturbingly human blueberry,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Amber has a little bit of a costume on, but we'll find out what she's up to later. Our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling him to get rid of the dog after the dog ate all of my food? This is a really sad one, folks. We are both 26, just for background, and I've been telling him to rehome the dog for months. He brought the dog home 4 months ago. His mother gifted him the dog behind my back, and I knew for an absolute fact that we were not in a spot financially to care for this animal. He refused, saying that he was already attached to the dog and that she was too cute to rehome, and he felt like he couldn't rehome this dog due to the amount of money that his mother spent on the dog, $1,200. This dog breed has been one that he's wanted for a very long time, as long as I've known him. Anyways, it started getting incredibly frustrating recently because the dog, who is 2 years old now, has behavioral and medical issues, and we are now in debt. We are almost $200 overdrawn in our bank account due to an unexpected trip to the emergency vet. I told him not to bring her and that she was fine, but he did it anyways. Well, $650 later of overdrafting our account, and the vet told him that his dog was just inebriated. My husband's buddy was over and smoking in front of the dog, and so that's why she was inebriated. So he overdrafted our account, knowing that neither of us get paid until next week, to make sure his dog was okay. We have no food in the house, and now we have no money for gas to get to work. My boss was lenient to let me work from home, but my husband has had to be in the office. His boss knows that we're struggling and is super generous, and actually brought us food for my husband and me today. Well, they came to drop it off at noon. When I tell you I was drooling thinking about eating for the first time in 2 days, it would be an understatement. Just note that the dog has plenty of food. So they bring the food over and come inside and put it on the table. I go to hug my husband and his boss, saying thank you, and the dog got up on the table, knocked the food down, and wolfed it down in 0.2 seconds flat. I immediately started crying and telling him to get the dog out of here, and I was done. Oddly enough, the boss is on my side, not only because of the money, but because he knows that I'm spiraling from the stress of this. My husband, on the other hand, is telling me that I'm being overdramatic and not thinking clearly because I'm hungry, and says not only am I incredibly selfish and inconsiderate, but he won't rehome her. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, then I want to read a comment from OP. And yes, no, maybe 123 says, What is wrong with your mother-in-law? You two could have really used that $1,200 for, food. And OP replies, and this is the kicker, folks. To be fair, we weren't struggling when his mom bought him the dog. But since he has had the dog home, he has gone mental and spent almost double our rent on the amount of toys, beds, clothes, and expensive dog food brands. He keeps buying bags of food that are like $120 here, $140 there, because she doesn't like that one. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. And OP, it's probably time that you get out of this relationship.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that he's making these unilateral decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I know this is like him being like, oh, well, my mom brought the dog. Well, your mom wouldn't have brought the dog over if you had put your foot down and said, no, we don't want the dog.
And the thing is, he seems to have zero regard for OP. Oh,
Yeah.
you're hungry. That's fine because the dog is fed and has
Yeah.
toys. He.
Well, yeah, this has reached a real problematic point.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made his decision.
Mm-hmm.
He's picked that dog over you.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that this is really problematic because he's basically prioritizing the dog and the dog's health and well-being over yours, and that's really terrible because you're now starving and this was completely preventable by not buying another $120 bag of food, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
even taking the dog to the vet. Like, it sounds like they would have been fine if they hadn't taken the dog to the emergency vet.
Kind of, but it also sounds like he's been just draining their bank account
Yeah.
over the course. Like, because a $650 trip to the vet is a lot,
Yeah.
but like, you shouldn't, like, if he's been spending like their rent money amount on dog food and
Hmm.
toys and stuff, like, that's,
Like, he has a problem here.
mm-hmm,
Like, this just goes beyond like the standard healthy dog lover type of thing.
mm-hmm,
And he's really just made his decision that he wants to spend all of his free money, all of OP's and his free money on this
mm-hmm.
dog, right? So yeah, unilateral decisions in a relationship are bad. Speaking of pets, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for calling her a drama queen and telling her to come off of it?" My wife and I have been together for 6 years, and I'm willing to admit that she didn't start acting like this until we got pets. She was very much a so very compromising and solution finding individual prior to us getting the animals. My father's home burnt down and ended up going to stay at a hostel. I told him that he could stay here, but he refused, as he didn't want to be a burden. He did ask that I take in his animals temporarily, however. He has a dog and 3 cats. Our household has been completely pet free the entire time that we've been together. I ran it by the old lady, and she said that she was fine providing it wasn't for a long time. She has never wanted animals. It's been 4 months now, and my wife is slowly starting to become a person I've never seen her be before. I imagine that. She says that she wants to have a pet for the pets for like 2 weeks, and now it's 4 months later.
Yeah.
Like, the dog will stare at her when she's eating and whine, and my wife gets mad. The dog is definitely begging, and I understand it's irritating, but she's being kind of ridiculous. She will tell the dog to go in the other room, which is completely okay with me, but then becomes super frustrated because the dog will poke its head out of the doorway and stare her down while she's eating, with licking its mouth and whining. It just frustrates her beyond belief. It didn't originally, but it certainly does now. She has been eating on the porch most nights because she says that she's tired of being watched and not being able to eat her food in peace. Or the cats, whom she definitely likes a whole lot more than the dog, are even starting to make her mad. Like, if she's reading a book, the cats immediately run over and knock the book out of her hands. The second she picks up her phone, the smallest cat will come on over and attack her hand trying to play. Or they will all come in and start getting on her at 3 a.m. every single night. I've seen it happen. She definitely isn't over exaggerating about it. It's like the second that she tries to do anything, the cats are all over her. And again, I get it, it's frustrating, but she's being ridiculous. She lost it yesterday and tossed the cat off the bed after it ripped the phone from her hands while she was on a phone call. She yelled at the dog to get away from her this morning because she was cooking, and the dog kept trying to jump on her. Like, screamed at the dog to go away. I'm getting quite fed up with the constant tension and told her to come off it and stop being a drama queen after she yelled at me that she was sick of being mauled all the time. She left. She didn't even turn off the stove. Just stormed out of the house and hasn't been back. Am I the jerk? I just feel that she's going overboard and it came off harsher than I intended. All right, folks, what do you think, jerk or not the jerk?
You're a big jerk here, OP. Like, she told you that she was okay with the animals for a short period of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like you have any plan of getting rid of the animals anytime soon.
No.
Like, you just expect her to put up with this indefinitely.
Well, and that is the biggest issue here. It's like, I think she would have been fine. Well, she clearly was fine for like a couple of weeks, but this just keeps extending longer and longer.
And like the animals are not well trained, and I would be really annoyed if I had a dog like staring at me and whining at me every time I was trying to eat
Yeah.
food. And like anytime she tries to do something, I love cats, but like the cats are constantly getting on her at 3 a.m. and
Yeah.
knocking things out of her hands.
Well, and that's
Like,
also interrupting her sleep,
mm-hmm.
right? That's anytime people's sleeps are going to be interrupted, that's going to be a situation that increases like the stress of a situation that much more,
And
right?
then the dog jumping on her while she's cooking, like that's dangerous.
It is, it is. And I don't think the husband, he just comes across as very dismissive of her needs
Mm-hmm.
and isn't working to help her, you know, find a he isn't working with her to help her with this.
Yeah, like as soon as things started getting out of hand, he should have started looking into an option to get the pet somewhere else. It's
Yeah.
long past time they leave your house.
Yeah, they need to do something about this. Hopefully, they can find someone else to take in the pets at least temporarily, or talk to the dad and be like, things aren't working out with the pets here. If you can't get back on your feet, is there any way that we can, find new homes for these pets? Because I think at a certain point, it needs to be something where you need to get rid of the pets. And I understand that's hard, but sometimes you have to make hard decisions. Anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice.
Abracadabra!
What? Why?
You said you wanted that we should change the towels, and so I thought they were better suited as a lobster. See? So much cuter.
What are we going to dry the dishes with?
The lobster is nice and soft.
That's a crustacean, not a dish towel.
So, thank you to June for the Amelia Bedelia suggestion. I decided to take it in a little bit of a magician-y direction because I was like, what pun can you do with like household chores? I was like, oh, change the towels. Had a lot of fun with it, so thank you, June, for the suggestion. Oh, and it's kind of funny that June suggested Amelia Bedelia as a costume because I'm not as literal as Amelia Bedelia, but I'm pretty literal, so I thought that was really funny. Everyone else who suggested costumes, I do have more plans for some other ones, so stay tuned.
I have a tea here.
I have a tea over there.
And Amber's got a joke on top of magic tricks, I guess.
Did you hear about the frog that parked his car illegally?
Yeah, it was because he was a toad. I don't know.
It got towed away.
I don't know where I was going with that. I was like, this has something to do with being a toad. And I have Mega Mint.
Which he got on the first time.
I did. I guessed it right, folks. I unbelievably guessed it right 2 days in a row, which is pretty spectacular, if you ask me. Google's trying to fool me into a false sense of security again. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much, Amber, for joining me today. Or should I say Amelia Bedelia.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
And we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.